Earning the 3-star rank is one of the hardest challenges Mario Kart 7 has to offer. And for what? You don't unlock anything for doing so, except the satisfaction of everyone online being able to see your 3-star rank, which gives you instant Mario Kart cred. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now here's the thing, no one quite knows what all factors are taken into account in order to get this top rank. Some ideas people have thrown out include trying to avoid falling off ledges, being hit by too many items, or making sure you don't crash into walls. Although these are all things you should be striving for anyway. Basically, you just need to race well. However, there is one important factor that is absolutely crucial to the 3-star rank. You must get first in every race for that cup. And though we're not quite positive, the game might even be factoring in the actual time that you're in first place throughout each race. So you'll want to try and hold on to that position as much as possible. As such, here are the tips we use for not only keeping first place, but for earning the 3-star rank in every cup. Some of these may seem obvious, but they're easy to forget in the heat and frustration of the moment, which is why it's key that you keep these in mind. Okay, let's get started. Tip number 1, earn fast cash. This is one case where you don't want to go for broke. Basically, the more coins you have, the faster you'll go, and you'll need all the speed you can muster when taking on the 150cc or mirror cups. They can only hold 10 coins max, and you'll want to reach that goal as early into the race as you can. After all, the faster you can build up your speed, the sooner you can take the lead. Now we're not saying you should turn around to grab a missed coin or anything, but you should definitely adjust your racing lines to collect as many as you can along the way. Tip number 2, burn rubber. Besides grabbing coins, you need to do everything you can to squeeze out every ounce of speed you have in you. Things such as getting the rocket boost at the start to take an early lead, using fully charged power slides around every major corner, and performing stunts on even the shortest of hops are all key to taking and maintaining first place. Also, if you find yourself with a speed boosting item like a mushroom or a star, use them strategically instead of immediately. That means you might want to save them to reach an upcoming shortcut or use them to cut corners at some of the game's more open levels. Tip number 3, play defensively. You're at your most vulnerable when in first place, so you'll need to defend yourself vigorously. Though the items you'll get in this position aren't very powerful, they're more than enough to help you maintain your lead. The most important thing you can do is protect yourself from rear attacks, so make sure you're always dragging an item behind you, whether it's a green shell, red shell, or banana peel. All of these can protect you from shell attacks, which is important since your opponents will likely be sending many homing ones your way. And as such, you'll want to keep another shell or banana peel in reserve if possible to serve as immediate backup if your first item defense is taken out. Because of this, a banana bunch item is the holy grail of the power-up since it's able to fend off 3 separate attacks when dragged behind you. And if you have another item in reserve, that brings your tally up to 4. Unfortunately, there is one other item that you might get while in first place that's less than ideal, the Tanuki tail. It's not that it's bad, the problem though is that it requires careful timing and acute awareness, which are both luxuries you don't really have while in first place. If it's your primary item, you should probably ditch it before the next set of boxes to get something better, but if it's your backup item, you should hold on to it since you'll have to ditch both your power-ups otherwise to replace it. And the trade-off of being completely vulnerable isn't really worth it. And remember, even though it might be a bit unwieldy, it can still be used defensively, even if it's not the ideal weapon to have. Now there is one weapon in particular that you really do need to watch out for, but it gets its whole very own tip. Tip number 4. For the love of God, avoid the blue shell. Let me be straight with you, the blue shell is going to be your number 1 enemy, especially since you're going to be in first place so often. And if you get hit by it, you stand a good chance of kissing your first place goodbye. And unfortunately, there is no way to dodge a blue shell once it has you in its sights, unless you have a star, which let's face it is very unlikely. As such, your only actual defense is to drop out of first place as soon as one of your opponents gets a blue shell. And the only way to know if they have one or not is by sneaking peeks at their inventory on the touchscreen. Yep, it's a giant pain, but it's something you really need to do if you hope to stand a chance at earning the 3-star rank. Now obviously it's impossible to watch both screens at once, but you should use every chance you get to quickly glance at the bottom screen. Straightaways and flying sections are usually ideal times to take a glance, and really you need to be looking down there every few seconds. You basically need to treat it as if it were a mirror in your car. Or if you have a really good friend, consider having them watch the bottom screen for you. As long as you don't have performance anxiety, you can now focus purely on your driving while your friend watches out for blue shells. Okay, so as I mentioned, if you see a blue shell appear, you almost always want to immediately slam on the brakes and let someone else take the lead. The computer's usually pretty slow in firing them off, so you should have at least a few seconds to drop behind someone else. Remain behind them until the blue shell is launched and on its way, then make sure to avoid getting too close so you don't get caught in the explosion too. Now there are only 3 situations in which you shouldn't drop out of first if you see a blue shell. For one, if it's already been launched, don't even bother. Instead, either try to get as far ahead as you can, or try to catch a computer in the explosion too. Another reason not to drop out of first place is if you're close enough to the finish line to end the race before the blue shell can reach you. The final reason is if you're already so far ahead, you would actually lose more time by dropping behind someone else than just taking the hit. And we're gonna be honest, this really doesn't happen too much on 150cc or Mirror Cup, just because the computer is so fast and so good. However, if you can't see them behind you on the zoomed in map, that means you might be able to take the hit and still be okay, but it's a risk. In conclusion, blue shells suck, so avoid them. Tip number 5. Knowledge is power, unless it's mirror mode. Our final tip is also the least important. It's really more of a suggestion. The reason Mirror Cup is so difficult is because it uses your knowledge of the tracks against you. What you once thought was a left turn is now a right turn, and vice versa. As such, we actually recommend getting this one out of the way before dealing with 150cc. That way you'll hopefully be able to tackle it before you become too familiar with the tracks. And then you'll be able to return to 150cc afterward, hopefully without having the mirror tracks too ingrained. Even if you don't follow this tip, you really should avoid jumping between mirror mode and 150cc. Your memories will work against you and will make it all the harder to complete either cup. Remember, even getting first place in every race doesn't guarantee your 3-star rank, but hopefully these tips will increase your chances. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other Mario Kart videos for more tips and tricks.